Very often beginners have difficulties to find best possible way to make comfortable position for the next ball with cue ball in hand. So in this ball lesson I'm going to show you 8 very common situations on the table where we can put the cue ball wherever we want and we need to make position for the final ball on the table. I will compare every possible way and determine difficulty and speed control accuracy to help you understand which option will be the best to choose in a given situation. But before we start, I will be really grateful if you consider to support my channel by leaving a thumbs up for me and hitting the subscribe button to never miss any of my new video productions. We need to start with the easiest situation, where 8 ball is located on the head spot, while the 9 ball is placed in the middle of bottom short rail. In the first option, we can leave some angle on the 8 ball and try to place the cue ball on the right side of the 9 ball by hitting the cue ball slightly below its center and contacting long rail. If we are more experienced, then we can increase angle bit more, and after hitting the cue ball with bit of top right spin and contacting 2 rails, we are making position on the left side of the table. But we can decrease difficulty of this positioning and put the 8 ball into the one of middle pockets. We can hit long rail before or behind middle pocket, and in both options we need to use bit different spin and speed, which changes speed control in both scenarios. And of course there is one more option where we need to put the 8 ball into the one of bottom corner pockets by leaving the cue ball slightly off straight line of this shot. We are using very safe path and speed control is similar in both scenarios, but in my opinion you should put 8 ball into the middle pocket and make position for the 9 ball after contact with long rail behind the middle pocket. We are going forward, where this time 9 ball is located on the foot spot, while the 8 ball is placed in the same line close to the bottom short rail. This time we have much more possibilities, and in the first option we can play shot characteristic for snooker by making position for the 9 ball to the both corner pockets without rails. But if we don't feel this kind of shots, then from same position of the cue ball we can apply top spin and use long rail to land for the 9 ball on the right side of the table. We can of course guide the cue ball to the opposite side of the table using same long rail, but this time we need to leave less angle on the 8 ball and apply more speed. But there is option to make one rail positioning contacting only bottom short rail, but this time we need to leave more angle on the 8 ball and apply bit of right or left hand English, depending on which side of the table we want to make position for the 9 ball. If we don't feel one rail positioning, then we can use more speed and 2 rails to place the cue ball on both sides of the 9 ball, but this option requires better understanding of speed control. In my opinion, you should choose option where we are using top spin and low speed to hit only long rail, because we are hitting the cue ball with very natural speed, and it follows very natural path, so this shot is very predictable. And let's look at this example, where this time 9 ball goes back on the bottom short rail, while the 8 ball is located on the opposite side of the table very close to the corner pocket. This time we can leave some angle on the 8 ball and hit the cue ball with low left hand English to make position for the 9 ball on the left side of the table, but this option requires good understanding of spin and speed to land in correct place. We can decrease difficulty if we leave more angle on the 8 ball, because then we need to apply only touch of left hand English, and after contacting 2 rails we are making perfect position for the 9 ball. But this time there is possibility that we can scratch in the corner pocket if we apply too much English, so we can use another rail to leave the cue ball on the left side of the table, but this time we need to use more speed, what decreases speed control. But no option will be as good as this, where we need to leave more angle on the 8 ball, but we need to put the cue ball on the left side of the table. If we apply a lot of right hand English and hit the cue ball with low speed, then it follows very safe and predictable path with very high speed control, and this makes this option best in my opinion. In the following example, we have a situation that both balls are located on the opposite long rails, And this time, to make position for the 9 ball, we can leave some angle on the 8 ball towards the 9 ball and hit the cue ball slightly below its center to go for the 9 ball without rails. From very similar angle, we can use only bottom short rail by applying only top spin, but this time we need to control speed of this shot much more to get good position for the 9 ball. But we can leave slight angle on the 8 ball, and this time we are hitting the cue ball with touch of right hand English, and after contacting two rails make position for the 9 ball very close to the middle pocket, which makes some risk of scratching, and speed control is more difficult than before. We can increase speed control and decrease risk of scratching using this method where we need to leave more angle on the 8 ball and apply only center ball to make position for the 9 ball to the top left corner. From same angle on the 8 ball we can make position for the 9 ball to the bottom corner pocket by applying bit of low left hand English and low speed. And this method is in my opinion the best because it is very predictable with very high speed control. And let's move to the next situation where this time 8 ball is a pocket hanger while the 9 ball is located on the foot spot. We can try to draw the cue ball to make position onto the 9 ball without rails, but during this option very difficult is speed control. We can increase speed control if we draw the cue ball again, but this time using bit thinner contact which causes the cue ball to use long rail and land in similar place like before. From same position of the cue ball we can glide it to the other side of the table if we use very thin contact and apply touch of left hand English, which causes the cue ball to make a contact with two rails. We can also make position for the 9 ball to the middle pocket if we place the cue ball very close to the short or long rail and hit the cue ball with very low speed. But we are leaving the cue ball very close to the corner pocket, which can make some difficulty during potting 9 ball. If we stay with the cue ball close to the long rail, then we can use very thin contact and apply bit of left hand English to make position for the 9 ball on the same side of the table. But if you want to get best result with very high speed control, then in my opinion you should consider this option where from the same place like before, we can apply a lot of right hand English and use low speed to end on the left side of the table, with perfect position for the 9 ball to the right corner pocket. We are going forward to see this common situation where we have some very effective options of positioning. First of all, you can put the cue ball in the same line with the 8 ball and pocket, and execute a draw shot where cue ball going towards the 9 ball without rails. We can also make some angle towards center area of the table and apply top spin with touch of left hand English, and after contacting two rails and on the left side of the table, but speed control during this attempt is more difficult. Very interesting is next option where this time you need to put the cue ball behind the 8 ball and pot it into the bottom right corner. We can leave small angle to the left or right, depending on if we want to use long rail or not, and speed control during these two attempts is very predictable. But in the following option we can leave more angle on the 8 ball and hit the cue ball with low right hand English, and after contacting only long rail make position for the 9 ball on the left side of the table. But if you are a more experienced player, then you can use this method where from higher angle you need to hit the cue ball with bit of right hand English to make contact with another rail very close to the middle pocket, which makes this shot difficult to control. In my opinion, you should choose option where we are potting 8 ball into the bottom corner pocket, because we are using low speed and cue ball going towards 9 ball using very natural speed. During this example, we have another non-obvious situation where we can choose between some good options. First option is very popular where we need to leave some angle on the 8 ball and hit the cue ball with touch of right hand English, and after contacting short rail, cue ball going for the 9 ball very close to the middle pocket, which makes some risk of scratch. We can use one rail again, but this time we need to put the cue ball close to the short rail and hit it with top spin and touch of left hand English. But we need to be careful because we can still scratch in the middle pocket. Next option is very interesting because this time we need to put the cue ball on the other side of the 8 ball and pot it into the left corner pocket. Cue ball going with low speed and make position for the 9 ball on the bottom side of the table, what increases speed control and decreases risk of scratching. And there is another interesting option where we need to put the cue ball close to the bottom short rail again, and this time you need to hit it with a lot of left hand English. This spin causes the cue ball to gain additional speed after contact with long rail, and we are going for the 9 ball using a very safe path. But there is one more option which is very original, but if you want to use more speed, then you should consider it. We need to leave more angle on the 8 ball again, and this time we need to apply left hand English with medium speed. Cue ball follows very interesting path around the table far away from the pockets, but speed control is much lower than before. In my opinion, you should choose this option where we are potting the 8 ball from bit higher angle with bit of right hand English, because it is very predictable and we can control speed of this shot with very high accuracy. And finally, I have for you the last example where this time many times beginners have problems to find comfortable path for the cue ball. Many times they try to put the cue ball with small angle towards the 9 ball and hit the cue ball at its center or slightly below, to make position for the 9 ball without rails to the both sides of the table. Same situation is when we put the cue ball with higher angle to the other side and try to apply left or right hand English. Speed control is very high, but risk of scratch is high too. To reduce risk of scratch, we can still put the cue ball with angle towards the 9 ball, but this time we need to apply topspin with touch of right hand English to make a contact with two rails and land for the 9 ball using safe path. And to avoid risk of scratching much more, we can reduce angle on the 8 ball and try to place the cue ball on both sides of the 9 ball using free rails. And once again, this method requires from us to apply more spin and speed, but this time speed control is much higher than before, which makes these two options the best to choose in a given situation. As a conclusion, we can clearly say that not difficulty, but speed control is the most important thing when we need to decide where to put the cue ball in hand. We should always choose this option which gives us safest path for the cue ball to avoid scratching, but first of all, option where we are 100% sure that we can execute it correctly. I hope I help you to choose best positioning options and you will be able to use this knowledge in your matches. And of course, if you enjoyed this tutorial, then please consider leaving a thumbs up for me and hit the subscribe button to never miss any of my new videos. Thank you very much for watching and I hope to see you in the next lesson. Take care.